It's time once again for That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ, where business becomes show business. Jamie is a leading Tampa Bay real estate agent and featured on the Wall Street Journal's list of top 100 real estate agents in the nation. Jamie invites you to list your home with him today and learn more at tampabayradio.com. Now, live in studio and promoting the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy, your host, Jamie Meloni.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Thanks for tuning in. You find me on here weekday mornings at 8 a.m. here on 1250 WHNZ. It's a business variety show if you're finding me on the air for the first time. A little something different each and every weekday mornings. I talk to many different professionals, entrepreneurs, political, civic leaders about what they are doing in our communities to make a difference. So always, I invite you to take a break from all the political news and sports talk with a show with a little bit different flavor. There's nothing like this out there on the airwaves. That Business Show, weekday mornings here at 8 a.m. here on 1250 WHNZ. Also, as always, please visit my website, tampabayradio.com. Over there, all shows available on demand. And also over there, you'll notice that I do sell real estate. That is my regular job. This here is my hobby and new venture and something I really love to do each and every morning. But after this, I've got to go sell real estate. So help support me, help support my business. Use me in any of the real estate services that you may need. You can peruse all the local real estate listings there on the market on the website. And if you're looking to sell your home, please take advantage of my Sell Your Home tool on the homepage, and we'll get you over a free home valuation, 24 to 48 business hours on average. Joined in studio by the lovely co-host Stella Giudicelli, also a fellow real estate professional with Coldwell Banker. Stella, good morning to you. How are you doing today?
Good morning, everyone. I'm very good, thank you. What happened to you, Jamie? It looks like to me you have some kind of like white sunglasses.
Yeah, if you're watching on camera, I do have a
tattooed.
sunburn. Yeah, no, I got the raccoon face there with the glasses and the sunburn face. But no, I was at the Bucks game. No, I was at the Bucks game yesterday, and the sun was just right on top of me the entire game. But congratulations to the Bucks picking up their first home game win under new coach Lovie Smith. Great game, very exciting game, and just finally got a good game there in the books for us there. So very excited to be there for their first home win since Lovie Smith took over.
That sounds fun. And then yesterday you were on the radio too at 5 a.m., right?
Oh,
First real estate show.
That's right, yeah. The That Business Show, the real estate edition, launched yesterday on 970 WFLA. That's going to begin, or actually it's already begun, what I should say, every Sundays at 5 a.m. there. So getting back to my roots, talking real estate, something that brought me onto the radio to begin with 2 years ago. So that show, obviously, the listeners right now are probably in bed at that time. But,
is that bad to say I wasn't listening?
But the show will be available on demand over at tampabayradio.com, also on iTunes as well. So we make this show and that show available all over social media. So if you ever miss a show, you can catch it on demand very easily over at tampabayradio.com or iTunes, also on SoundCloud. We put the audios up on SoundCloud.com and YouTube for the videos.
Well, I was in the sun yesterday as well, but I guess I was smarter. I didn't have my face in the sun.
Yeah.
So I had a good friend of mine, actually one of my best friends that I met 20 years ago when I was a student in the UK, who happened to just be in Orlando. So we kind of found out we were, he had forgotten I was that close to Orlando if I was a lot further away. So just took a car and
well, that's good that you took a day off, because I know you're quite the worker.
It wasn't a day off. It was a few hours off.
I was
still at the office. You know me well.
You're quite the worker, as am I. So let's get right into it. Let's bring on my first guest. Dr. L.J. Rose is a therapist, author, and expert in health living and a pioneer in the training and implementation of hypnotherapeutic training and subconscious dynamics worldwide. She is also the founder of Natural Wellness Academy, now operating in 9 countries. Dr. Rose, welcome to the program today.
Good morning, Jamie and Stella.
So, Stella, you actually know Dr. Rose too, right? You all have a little history together.
Yeah, so I called Dr. Rose LG, and this is for Linda Joy, right?
And,
LG or LJ?
LJ.
French,
I was going to say, she's got a nickname here I don't know.
It's because your last name is with a G, that's why I think.
Yes, so I'm always, exactly, that's what it is. And but it's also the inverse, like in French. So G is J and J is G, so... But LJ is absolutely an amazing person. So it was so good to see her this morning. I just love your energy. And you know how I always speak about good food and eating healthy? Actually, it started with LJ.
Really?
Yes.
LJ. You're
LJ.
throwing that J in there. I think it's your, I'm going to just blame it on your accent. She's saying J, but it sounds like
French
a G.
sometimes, LJ. And so got like kind of started from someone who was sick and told me about food and green juicing, and I was just listening. And next thing I know, I saw a course on raw food at Whole Foods, and started attending. It was once a week, and it was just super interesting, and it was very good. So I'd go and ask questions after the class to LJ. I go home, I practice, I make the food, and we just became very good friends. And she ended up writing a book, and I participated to the book.
Yeah, I know she's got the book, Your Mind, the Owner's Manual. We'll mention that throughout the interview a few times. But LJ, let's go ahead and put you on the mic there. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, that was kind of one of the incarnations that I've lived in this lifetime, doing the healthy food. But way back when, I was actually working on my doctorate to be a psychoanalyst in the psychology of Carl Jung, Jungian psychology. And I was invited to attend a hypnotherapy conference, and I just found it so fascinating that I kind of switched my degree to cross-cultural psychology. At the time, I was a Spanish language court interpreter. I lived in Southern California for 30 years. And so I started working with hypnotherapy because I found it was such a quick way to get into the subconscious mind and help people overcome traumas and phobias and all kinds of problems.
So what type of person do you cater to today? Do you deal with people suffering from anxiety and depression, also overeating habits? I mean, I guess you can use hypnotherapy techniques in a wide variety of different disorders, can you not?
Yes, absolutely. Over the last 30 years, more of my focus has been in training therapists worldwide, but I have started to see private clients again. And my specialty is working with adults to heal from childhood trauma. Most of us did not have ideal childhoods. And what I tell people, really, it's not so much what happened to you in your childhood, it's what you told yourself about yourself or life or the world. And that stays kind of stuck in the subconscious mind, and it could manifest in anxiety. It could manifest in eating disorders. So I do work with behavioral modification for people who want to change habits, but I also work with a lot of trauma release therapy.
Do you find that children, or when they become adults and they have this onset of anxiety or depression or eating disorders, it's from something in their childhood they may not have even been aware of? They would have had a perfectly normal childhood, and this rears its head in their adult life. Explain this to me.
Well, invariably, but when you say normal childhood, Jamie, I haven't really met a lot of people who have had a normal childhood. We tend to not just inherit the physical DNA from our parents, but we also inherit the psychological DNA. So these traumas wind up being passed from generation to generation. For instance, when there has been sexual abuse, and that's not the only kind of abuse. Right off the bat, people think, oh, well, that person must have been sexually abused. There's so many different ways to be abused. It could be emotional, it could be physical, it could be just by ignoring a child as a form of abuse, because to a child, being loved, being acknowledged is just as important as giving them food and shelter. So very often it is really kind of, Jung talked about really the sins of the parents being passed on. It's really those traumas that were not dealt with by the parents that abusers tend to go on and abuse.
Now, give me some examples of some of the therapeutic modalities that you've created, hypnopotential among others. So talk to me a little bit about this.
Okay, so hypnopotential was the first one. When I was working on my doctorate, I wrote my dissertation. I had plenty of material in the Hispanic community. I'm not Hispanic, but I was working in that community as an interpreter. And the idea was to take people back into their childhoods and be able to uncover this trauma and work to release it. And honestly, a person feels like they've lost 20 pounds when they go through this therapy because they're carrying this. And often it's either something that they're conscious of, but they don't really understand what they told themselves about themselves or life or the world. Or it could be something that they're not conscious of. It could be something that they don't remember that it's happened. But once we can do that hypnoanalysis and probe into the subconscious mind, we can bring it forth and do the healing that's important to release it.
Jamie, have you already done a hypnosis?
No, I don't think I'm able to be hypnotized. My mind's too active. I don't think you could get me in the hypnotic state or whatever the state is.
You know, the most intelligent people are the most hypnotizable people because it's really guiding imagination. You know, hypnosis is a state that we go in and out of about a dozen times a day. I mean, have you ever driven anywhere and then you go, oh, I don't remember like the last few blocks or the last mile or so. That's really a state of hypnosis. So we have this kind of balancing act where we go from the beta conscious, where like right now we're listening and analyzing what each one of us are saying, and that's beta consciousness. But we go in and out of these states about a dozen times a day. And so really all a hypnotherapist does is guide you into a natural state. There's no actually enforcing your power or controlling them. You know, you're not giving them knockout drops or putting them to sleep. I say it's more like you're waking them up at a certain level.
You actually feel very awake, right?
Yes, absolutely. Hypnosis. Some people, you have different people respond to it. So some people are in a very light trance. That's called hypnoidal. You have other people that have a sense of heaviness. That's called cataleptic. And then you have the people that are, it's called somnambolic, and they have that kind of feeling like floating. And you can go throughout all the different states in one session. And it does not matter. You can be in the very lightest state and you can still have a hypnotic regression and have benefits from getting suggestion, like, for instance, in behavioral modification, helping a person lose weight, helping them to quit smoking.
So in these hypnotic states, does the person know what they're saying? I mean, you've seen the movies where they don't remember stuff.
That's just Hollywood,
that's
really.
Just all Hollywood stuff,
you
right?
know everything that's going on. There has never been a case. There was a case that went all the way to the Supreme Court.
So why do you have to be in a hypnotic state then? Why can't we just talk like we're talking now?
Because what is in the subconscious mind is not accessible. And the subconscious mind is really, if you consider, you know, like everybody's seen the movie Titanic and you see the iceberg and they talk about what you see above the water, as gigantic as it is really only the tip of the iceberg. And that's really basically consciousness is only the tip of the iceberg. So in order to access that submerged material and information, you do need to be in the hypnotic state, because otherwise you have that critical factor of the mind, what's called the ego, and it blocks you. And it's a protection, because otherwise you'd be overwhelmed by your subconscious content.
So how do you know when you've got a client in the hypnotic state? Is it difficult to get everybody into the state that you need them in to access the subconscious mind?
I think the most difficult part of it is overcoming people's misinterpretation of what hypnosis is. But once you're able to do that, and usually if I'm going to work with a person, I work very quickly. I'm not one of these long-term therapists. You know, I see a person, somebody with agoraphobia, we spoke about that before we started, I might see them maximum 12 times. But usually I'm going to see a person between like 6 and 10 times. And so I might start them out listening to a hypnotherapeutic module of mine so that they get acquainted with the state, acquainted with my voice. Then we can work that much faster. I don't have to condition them in the session and waste that time and that money.
Let's take a quick break, but coming back from a break, I'm going to talk a little bit more with Dr. L.J. Rose here on That Business Show, and you can learn more about her in the meantime at the website drljsnaturalwellness.com. Again, you're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Have you considered a reverse mortgage as part of your retirement financial plan? For homeowners age 62 or older, a reverse mortgage from Access Reverse Mortgage is a safe, economical way to turn your home's equity into cash or monthly income. Access Reverse Mortgage is a family-owned company based right here in the Tampa Bay area for the past 10 years. They are A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau and Florida's leading reverse mortgage provider. Call 727-347-0305 or go to accessreverse.com to start your research today. NMLS number 4566. That's 727-347-0305.
Are you looking for a local real estate firm that knows the market and has your interests in mind? Then contact Jim McPeak at McPeak Real Estate Firm, a family-owned business whose agents have over 60-plus years of experience in the Tampa Bay market. Many of the agents are military veterans that know the VA process for buying a home and are proud to help our military members in any way they can. From residential to commercial real estate, McPeak Real Estate Firm is here to help. Contact Jim at 813-495-3875 and learn more at McPeakTeam.com.
Help promote the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy. Tune in weekdays at 8 a.m. on 1250 Wins WHNZ to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where he promotes what is right with our community and highlights the successes of our entrepreneurs. Show contributor openings also available. You can learn more about the show and how to become part of this growing network at TampaBayRadio.com. Tune in weekdays at 8 a.m. to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
Tampa Bay weather is a roof killer. That's why when getting your roof done, you want it done right. Hi, I'm Jamie Meloni of That Business Show. When considering a new roof or repair, talk to Westfall Roofing. They've been installing high-quality roofs in Tampa Bay for over 25 years. Get a free, no-obligation estimate by calling 855-99-ROOFING. That's 855-99-ROOFING. Find out what already 15,000 satisfied customers already know. Call now, 855-99-ROOFING.
Are you in need of new flooring or ready to tackle that home remodeling project? Then contact Yeager & Company Incorporated, a family-owned, state-certified general contracting business with over 70 years of experience and the recipient of the Angie's List Super Service Award for the last 8 years in multiple categories. Yeager & Company comes to you with their shop-at-home flooring sales service, and their hardwood flooring refinishing is the very best in the Bay. Kitchen and bath design featuring American-made, well-born cabinets, and all work is done by employees, not subcontractors. Learn more at YeagerFlooring.com.
From the Bright House Networks Traffic Center.
Big delays on southbound I-75 from Bruceby Downs to Fowler and then on towards I-4 due to a crash in the left-hand lane. Westbound I-4 is also slow approaching I-75. Southbound Veterans Expressway slow from Ehrlich to Waters. Westbound State Road 56 still slow approaching I-75. And southbound US 19, it's slow from Drew to around Roosevelt. See traffic problems, call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Udurk. Hillsborough traffic tip line 866-545-9595.
This report is brought to you by Walmart. Walmart keeps you ready for cold and flu season with low prices on everything you need, like Hall's Cough Drops, Kleenex tissues, and Vicks Vapor Rub. Stock up now so your family won't be caught off guard when the coughing starts. Save money. Live better. Walmart.
Mostly sunny, high 83. Tonight, mostly clear, low 68. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high 84.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Missed a show? Then head over to TampaBayRadio.com, where all shows are available on demand. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Meloni.
And we're back to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Again, if you're finding me on the air for the first time, this is a business variety show, a little something different each and every morning as I talk to many different professionals about what they do to make a difference in the Tampa Bay community. So I invite you to please tune in each and every weekday morning here at 8 a.m. on 1250 WHNZ and learn more about the show over at TampaBayRadio.com. Currently talk to Dr. LJ Rose. She's an author, therapist, and a hypnotherapist, and also she's involved now at the Natural Wellness Academy as just your new venture. And that last thing we were talking a little bit about hypnosis and all that stuff. But tell me about your latest venture here.
Well, I've been designing courses actually since the 1980s, and now, of course, everything is this e-learning and online courses. So in 2013, I decided to incorporate what I was doing with the healthy living, the healthy eating that Stella met me doing. And there are a lot of courses out there in holistic health to become a coach, but nobody's really integrated the mind. And Margaret Mead, the anthropologist, said it's easier to change a person's religion than the way they eat. And because I have this expertise in the mind, I knew that it was time. So I created the Natural Wellness Academy, and we give a dual certification, not just in holistic health, but also in life coaching. And we're also now training therapists internationally in clinical hypnotherapy, too. So you can become a therapist and do most of it online. And because I've been so successful and able to live on this online, it's a wonderful way. Actually, I know you reach out to a lot of entrepreneurs, and just about everybody has this incredible expertise that can be leveraged into e-learning or an online course. So I have a new business now called Design Your Course, where I work with the entrepreneur and find out how we can get that brilliance out of your head and into a course and then create passive income, because that's where it's at.
So you work with these courses that are designed for both therapists and then the average run-of-the-mill person who may be having an issue. It could be a person who does marketing, could be a person who does real estate, and you have certain tips that you want to market directly to real estate sellers. Anybody that has a particular form of expertise, I can work with them. I can take materials that they've written
or workshops or webinars and repurpose them into this course material too.
Very cool.
It's a great way of earning passive income.
Now, I myself suffer from anxiety years ago, and the way I battled it was through exercise and diet. But tell me some of the ways that you've helped, like people with anxiety and other disorders such as eating. You were talking about the hypnosis, but share some success stories, that you can with the listeners.
I do work a lot with PTSD. My husband has a foundation, and he's going to be speaking next week and works with veterans to pair them with rescue dogs. So we have a program where we offer this for veterans too. Yes, I do work. Hypnosis has the ability to change the way our mind operates, to change those neural nets, because once you have anxiety programmed, it's very hard to control it through an act of willpower, because willpower is in that part of the mind that is the conscious mind. So when you go into the subconscious mind, you're able to override and reprogram those neural nets, and you're not automatically in that reactive situation. I have a lot of really interesting, of course, I've been working on this for over 30 years. So when you do regression work, what's interesting is sometimes a person will go back into early childhood, but sometimes they go back into the prenatal state. And this happens about 10 or 15% of the time. And it has been found that when we were in our developmental 9 months before we were born, a child is very much aware of their environment. They're aware of what's going on between the parents. They're aware of whether they're wanted or not. And I had a case of a woman that she couldn't wear anything around her neck. And she couldn't even look at a person with a turtleneck. She would start to feel like she was choking. She couldn't even wear a T-shirt because it was too high up. And it turned out when we did the regression that when she was a fetus of about 7 months, her parents were fighting and her father hit her mother, and she wound up in this kind of twisted position. And it took about 24 hours for her to come back into position. And once we did that, that released that choking sensation that she had. And of course, we did some other work with that too. So that was a very interesting case. Another case, there was a man who had a real aversion to learning. And he didn't really understand why. He felt very lack of confidence. And so we went back, and it turned out that he had a teacher that slapped him across the face. But as we kept going back deeper into this experience, it turned out he had used a really bad word. Now, of course, that's never a reason for a teacher to use any violence on a student. But once he was able to understand and see what had happened, it just opened him up, and he was able to go on and
so consciously he remembered the slapping, but then he didn't remember why he got
his own participation in it, and that helped him, because a lot of what it is too is that people have to learn how to forgive, and it is forgiving those people. I have a saying that's perhaps I'll be remembered, this may be the wisest thing I ever said, and this is really an axiom for everybody to think of, is that people who are not free cannot allow others to be free. So when you consider the damage that your parents did, my parents did a lot of damage, but my parents were Holocaust survivors. So they went through tremendous trauma in their developmental years, and they just kind of passed this on to me. And so I have found, though, that, do you know who the hardest person in the world is to forgive?
Yourself?
Exactly, Jamie. It is oneself. So sometimes I have to do that really deep work, because we will go on sabotaging. A lot of times doing very destructive behavior like smoking, like overeating, like eating the wrong foods comes from the fact that we do not like ourselves deep down inside. And so we have to do that forgiveness work.
So subconsciously, is our brain have all the different memories from our life there in some form of or another? I mean, is everything there?
From the moment of conception, everything is there.
Everything's in the brain. We just don't know how to access it in a conscious
hypnosis
state.
is the way to access it. And that was what I found fascinating, because had I gone on to be a Jungian psychoanalyst, even after my doctorate at the time, there was 10 additional years of studying, plus you had to log in 200 hours with a psychoanalyst. I had started that, but you can go so much quicker, because it's very expensive to go through psychoanalysis, and you can go through this very quickly with hypnosis. Like I say, I can take an agoraphobic.
Like Jamie used to be.
No, agoraphobic, that's a person who doesn't like to leave their places of comfort,
Agoraphobia
their homes.
Literally means fear of the marketplace, but it's a person who has difficulty leaving their home. And some psychologists have come to the point that they say it's a very extreme fear of death. But I went a step further. I became very well known in the field of working with agoraphobia, is that I have found that it is a fear of dying without having ever really lived. So agoraphobics usually have a codependent quality, and part of their disease has to do with kind of becoming codependent, having to depend on the person that they are. So there's usually something in there that creates this codependency and can be worked on through hypnosis. It's amazing what you can do with hypnosis.
Well, great discussion here. We got to hit the bottom of the hour break, but a great discussion here with Dr. L.J. Rose. Dr. Rose, thank you so much for being in studio.
Thank you
interview.
so much. Pleasure.
And people can learn more about you over at drljs.com, correct?
Yes.
We can take off that natural wellness that redirects her. But you got a lot of stuff on this website, so please take some time to check out her website. Again, drljs.com. Coming back from the break, we'll be talking with Ben Weeder with Level 6 Marketing, so we've got some great stories to share on that segment as well. And in the meantime, please head over to my website, tampabayradio.com. Again, all shows available on demand. You've been listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring-type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Media consultants are ready to help. Call 844-BUY-RADIO or go to iHeartMedia.com.
With ThermoSpa's unique built-in thermofiltration system, you simply fill it with a garden hose and your water stays crystal clear with very little maintenance. Right now, they're offering 0% APR financing with approved credit and a $1,000 savings coupon. Call ThermoSpas today at 800-991-5668 for your free DVD and brochure. That's 800-991-5668. Call 800-991-5668 today to take advantage of 0% APR financing.
From the Bright House Networks Traffic Center.
Southbound I-75 very slow from Bruceby Downs to south past Fowler due to a crash in the left-hand lane. That's also affecting traffic. In the northbound lanes, it's slow from MLK up past I-4 and I-4 westbound. Very slow approaching I-75 because of this as well. We also have slow traffic on southbound US 19 and northbound US 19 near Haynes Bayshore. Primarily the service roads being affected by a crash on the northbound side there. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Utica Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line 866-545-9595.
This report is brought to you by Walmart. Walmart keeps you ready for cold and flu season with low prices on everything you need, like Halls cough drops, Kleenex tissues, and Vicks Vapor Rub. Stock up now so your family won't be caught off guard when the coughing starts. Save money. Live better. Walmart.
Winds, weather center forecast, lots of sunshine today, and a cool day with the temperatures in the lower 80s. Very little humidity, not really a chance of showers at all. Tonight's lows upper 60s. Tomorrow we'll keep the same forecast by midweek. See more upper 80s, but staying sunny and dry. Impact Radio, 1250 winds.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Missed a show? Then head over to tampabayradio.com, where all shows are available on demand. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Meloni.
And welcome back to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Again, weekday mornings at 8 a.m. here on 1250 WHNZ. And as always, you can learn more about my show over at TampaBayRadio.com. Also, the show is expanding. This past Sunday at 5 a.m., we expanded the brand to include a real estate edition of the brand. So Sundays at 5 a.m., the That Business Show, the real estate edition, is now airing. So if you're out there in the community looking to get some good information on real estate, because that's what I do each and every day, be sure to catch That Business Show, the real estate edition. And if you're not up at 5 a.m. on Sunday, which I understand many of you are not, that show will be made available on demand over at TampaBayRadio.com. And also, we'll start a separate iTunes feed for that as well for all the podcasters out there as well. Also, please connect with me on all the different social networking sites, Facebook.com/That Business Show. Also, Twitter under Jamie Score Meloni. And we do video all these shows here live in studio. So if you head over to TampaBayRadio.com and click on the Watch Live Stream button, you can see all the action here live in studio. And all those videos are found up on my YouTube channel as well as TampaBayRadio.com as well. Time to bring in my next guest for the show. Ben Weeder founded Level 6 in 2005 with a heavy focus on brand performance, and his firm has helped multiple clients achieve improved ROI by leveraging the very latest technological innovations. The firm's specialized capability include brand development, online training, customer incentives, and content marketing. Current clients range from well-funded startups to multiple Fortune 500 corporations. Ben, welcome to the program today.
Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate you having me again.
Yeah, and Ben is a repeat offender to this show. He was on with me about a year ago, right before I launched That Business Show, back on the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. So thank you very much for coming back in.
Absolutely, and the studio is looking awesome, by the way.
They've remodeled it since you've been in here.
The studio is
I can actually
serious.
See you now, yeah.
Yes, we can see each other, and it's well lit. And,
yeah, the old studio had these computer monitors up in front of us, so if you had a guest on the opposite side of the table, you saw the top of his head. So it wasn't very convenient, but it's a very nice studio now in here, so
Absolutely.
Very happy with that. So, Ben, you grew up in Cleveland. I mean, how did you end up here in Tampa Bay and start Level 6?
Oh, boy. It was all the way back to 2005. I was working for Daimler Chrysler at the time, now known as Daimler. It's one of the world's largest automakers. And we had a division headquarters there in Cleveland. And it was around that time that they decided to move our entire operation to Detroit, Michigan. And so, the offer was on the table for everyone to move. And my wife and I said, we'll go on a little look-see trip and see if that's something that, we want to do. So we went out there to Detroit and looked and then weighed our options. But the reality was we forgot about my wife. She needed to find a job. And she was just finishing graduate school with a degree in school psychology. And at that time, school psychologists were not high in demand. They actually kind of are now. But in 2005, it was tough. And the reality was we could have moved to Detroit and then she would have been out of work. We had some good friends from school who moved down to Tampa right after school from Ohio, and they loved it down here. We'd been down a few times to visit, and we did a little inquiry and found out they were dying for school psychologists in 2005. So we figured, why not? Well, I decided to take the buyout and moved to Florida and started Level 6.
Very
cool.
So
it was there's certainly worse places to be than surrounded by the sun and the sand and the beaches.
Yeah, I mean, the humidity gets to me every now and then this summer, but Cleveland, the winters are pretty rough up there.
I'll take this any day, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way because I grew up in West Virginia. My family actually has a strong background in the Ohio area. I was actually born in Ohio, and my family, my parents actually now live just outside of Cleveland now. But interesting story, I think I've shared it a couple of times on this show, but my grandfather, he was a career. He was a criminal in his early age, and he was out of Cleveland, and this was in the 50s, and he robbed a number of banks. He ran a little gang there, and this went on for many years. And he finally got picked up on the most wanted list after hitting a federal bank. Interesting aside to him, though, he eventually ended up in Alcatraz and did time there. And he did time with Whitey Bulger, who was on who's featured in the new movie Black Mass.
Yeah, is that the Johnny Depp one?
Yeah, Johnny Depp is playing Whitey Bulger. He did some time with him in the late 50s, early 60s. Alcatraz closed in either 62 or 63. But yeah, my grandfather did time. My grandfather's one of the few surviving inmates that was in Alcatraz. There's less than 10 that are still alive. He's in his upper 70s now, but he did
upper 70s. I'm doing the math on that, Jamie.
Yeah,
you guys had some kids pretty young in your family.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. My parents had me when I was when they were 21 or something, 21. Right. So, and my mom actually gave birth to me. Gave birth to my mom in federal prison. Her mother, my grandmother, because it was my grandfather and grandmother that ran this little gang together. And so when they got picked up by her or by the feds, then my grandmother did 5 years in the West Virginia State Penitentiary for women. She was pregnant with my mother at the time and gave birth to her in the federal prison.
Well, the apple, I guess, doesn't fall too far from the tree with you then.
Right. Yeah, he got out of prison in his 40s. He turned his life around and ended up working in the steel industry, which is big up in Ohio and in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. And but yeah, interestingly enough, though, I remember in the 90s when I would go to visit him, Whitey Bulger was all over the America's Most Wanted. He's like, oh yeah, I know Bulger. He was a friend of mine in prison.
His old buddy. Huh?
Yeah, it was his old buddy, and but he was a very ruthless guy. The movie Black Mass. So I saw that last week. Highly recommended movie. Great film. Great story behind that. People that aren't familiar with that film or his story, he was on the FBI's Most Wanted list for about 15 years out of Boston. He ran the Winter Hill Gang. And he was being protected by the FBI the entire time of his career because his best friend that he grew up with was was high up in the FBI inside Boston. So all the crimes that he did were getting covered up by his friend and the FBI. And he was a informant, so he was able to go to his superiors or people and be like, yeah, Bulger did this, but, he's giving us good information. It's a great story. It's a really great story. But the FBI informant, the FBI person who was protecting him, ended up getting busted and thrown in prison himself. I think he's still in there. So very good story there. I could ramble on and on about my grandfather being in, and what he did up there in Cleveland. But yeah, my family has some background up there in the 50s. So let's get back over to your company, the Level 6. I understand you got to also be part of an IPO on the New York Stock Exchange last year. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, it was probably the highlight of my career thus far. It was a really unique experience. It was with Heritage Insurance, with many people in Florida are obviously familiar with one of the largest property insurers in Florida now. About 3 or 4 years ago, we actually were part of the whole branding effort for Heritage. We were able, my team, to actually name the company. We obviously developed the entire brand, everything that goes along with it, from website and otherwise. And I got the call probably about a year and a half ago now, and they said, hey, we're going to be going public. And in order to go public, there's this whole dog and pony show that goes along with that. And we need you to spearhead the effort with the New York Stock Exchange and work on that, because we're going to be going up in a couple of weeks. So there's not a lot of notice when you go public, by the way. It's not like something you have months and months to prepare for when it comes to the marketing side. So I worked with the team at the New York Stock Exchange. They were wonderful to work with, and we pulled it off. The huge banner on the outside of the building, signs in Times Square, and all the subway stations and things like that. It was definitely the experience of a lifetime.
And this was the Heritage Insurance IPO?
Yeah, the Heritage Insurance IPO. Yeah,
and Level 6 was tied into them, where you did the marketing
for
them?
We basically, helped create that brand, when it first launched, and then we're able to see it all the way through the development, all the way through the IPO. So for me personally, to see it, every step of the way, and then be there with the Heritage team, when they rang that opening bell.
So you got to be up there with the opening bell?
I was not on. No. That's the stage for the IPO. That's a select group. I was on the floor watching them, though.
But even being on the floor, I've always wanted to experience what it's like to be on that floor.
It is. If you ever get the opportunity, I think they don't do tours anymore like they used to for security reasons. But if you ever get the opportunity, it's much, much smaller than you would ever imagine. It looks huge on TV. But I would say the entire New York Stock Exchange floor is probably the size of maybe 2 basketball courts.
Really?
Yeah, it is not.
Really,
it's not
that it looks bigger there on the television.
Not at all. Not at all. And everybody's very close. I mean, we were standing probably about 10 feet from Kramer at CNBC, and then maybe another 20 feet right below the little balcony where they ring the bell. So it's a tight area, like everything in New York. They cram people in there, but. Yeah, it's an incredible opportunity, and you really, you're in the center of the universe right there when it comes to the world of finance, and kind of everything revolves around that building, and it's very exciting to be a part of.
Must be one of the highlights of your career then. I mean, you started Level 6 in 2005, wasn't it?
In 2005, yeah, it was.
Now you work with a company that's has an IPO in New York.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, obviously we can't, we can take a little bit of the credit. The truth is, I mean, they have a great team there. They have a great product, and they've been doing some really amazing things for the state of Florida and homeowners here, but just to go along for the ride was something else, and to be there on that day, that was definitely one of the highlights of my career.
Now, in addition to, marketing, websites, advertising, I know there's two things that Level 6 handles that are somewhat unique. First is e-learning. Tell us how you started with that.
Well, yeah, it was interesting. I mean, you had two e-learning guests here today. I don't think you had planned on that.
No.
With LJ right before me, who did an amazing job, by the way. Don't like following somebody like her necessarily.
You're doing fine. No. Fine.
But I appreciate that. No, but e-learning is really something that's been around for, probably the last 20 years or so. It used to be called CBT, or computer-based training, and now the term is e-learning, and it basically just refers to learning online. And obviously there's different iterations of that. There's a lot of online colleges that people know of, like the University of Phoenix, things like that. And then there's also a lot of professional skills development that goes on. So we help quite a number of organizations with professional skills development training for, it could be for their internal employees, it could be for their dealership sales staff. The idea is that you can basically standardize the training and put it out over a large network and handle updates seamlessly for the entire network.
Is this also through level6marketing.com, your website, where people can find these e-learning classes?
Sure, absolutely. We don't have any classes on our website, but we can talk to you about what we do. So we do our training never under our label. They're always under labels for our clients and our partners. But we're doing different initiatives depending on what it is. So some are nonprofit, like what we do with the Pinellas Education Foundation. Dr. Oz actually hired us. He has a huge charity out of New York.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they hired us a few months back to help them with some accreditation for some training that they do. So, our clients really run the gamut. But e-learning is something that it's very specialized. I've got a great team. I couldn't do it all on my own, but with our team of developers and instructional designers, we're well suited to help a myriad of different clients.
Okay, second, Level 6 also focuses on customer and salesperson incentive programs. What does that mean?
Well, customer and salesperson incentive programs are basically, if you think about life in general, and LJ kind of talked about it a little bit through the subconscious, but I think that's probably a good way to think about it in the business world. You've probably heard the old adage, there's got to either be a carrot or a stick to initiate behavior change. And many times, obviously, the stick is the threat of some sort of a penalty if you don't perform. Well, the carrot, if you think about the rabbit running a race, the carrot is what you're trying to incentivize somebody with. And so the idea with incentive programs is that if you can put an incentive out there for sales or rebates or whatever the case may be, you're putting some sort of a dollar value to a behavior change.
Yeah.
And we've seen some really, really amazing results with the incentive programs that we offer.
Very cool. Currently talk with Ben Weeder, founder of Level 6, and you can learn more about him and his company, level6marketing.com. Coming back from a break, I want to speak with him about some of the high-profile rebranding that we've seen in the news from Wendy's, Verizon, and also Google. So stay tuned for that discussion. You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Have you considered a reverse mortgage as part of your retirement financial plan? For homeowners age 62 or older, a reverse mortgage from Access Reverse Mortgage is a safe, economical way to turn your home's equity into cash or monthly income. Access Reverse Mortgage is a family-owned company based right here in the Tampa Bay area for the past 10 years. They are A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau and Florida's leading reverse mortgage provider. Call 727-347-0305 or go to accessreverse.com to start your research today. NMLS number 4566. That's 727-347-0305.
Are you looking for a local real estate firm that knows the market and has your interests in mind? Then contact Jim McPeak at McPeak Real Estate Firm, a family-owned business whose agents have over 60-plus years of experience in the Tampa Bay market. Many of the agents are military veterans that know the VA process for buying a home and are proud to help our military members in any way they can. From residential to commercial real estate, McPeak Real Estate Firm is here to help. Contact Jim at 813-495-3875 and learn more at McPeakTeam.com.
Help promote the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy. Tune in weekdays at 8 a.m. on 1250 WINS WHNZ to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where he promotes what is right with our community and highlights the successes of our entrepreneurs. Show contributor openings also available. You can learn more about the show and how to become part of this growing network at TampaBayRadio.com. Tune in weekdays at 8 a.m. to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
Tampa Bay weather is a roof killer. That's why when getting your roof done, you want it done right. Hi, I'm Jamie Meloni of That Business Show. When considering a new roof or repair, talk to Westfall Roofing. They've been installing high-quality roofs in Tampa Bay for over 25 years. Get a free, no-obligation estimate by calling 855-99-ROOFING. That's 855-99-ROOFING. Find out what already 15,000 satisfied customers already know. Call now, 855-99-ROOFING.
Are you in need of new flooring or ready to tackle that home remodeling project? Then contact Yeager & Company Incorporated, a family-owned, state-certified general contracting business with over 70 years of experience and the recipient of the Angie's List Super Service Award for the last 8 years in multiple categories. Yeager & Company comes to you with their shop-at-home flooring sales service, and their hardwood flooring refinishing is the very best in the Bay. Kitchen and bath design featuring American-made, well-born cabinets, and all work is done by employees, not subcontractors. Learn more at YeagerFlooring.com.
From the Bright House Networks Traffic Center.
Well, good morning. Still big delays on southbound I-75 from before Bruce B. Downs to past Fowler, but the crash now off to the left-hand side, and all 3 lanes are back open, so traffic should be getting back to normal. I'd advise not taking an alternate. You're probably in better shape just sticking with southbound I-75 now. Northbound I-75 still a bit slow as well from I-4 and off the Howard Franklin Bridge, a minor crash near Kennedy. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Utica. Hillsborough traffic tip line 866-545-9595.
This report is brought to you by the Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer. The Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer is the top choice of doctors, nurses, and other health professionals nationwide. Now, it can be your choice too. The Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer. Get yours at your local Club Warehouse and other fine retailers today.
Mostly sunny, high 83. Tonight, mostly clear, low 68. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high 84.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Missed a show? Then head over to TampaBayRadio.com, where all shows are available on demand. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Meloni.
And we're back to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business, weekday mornings at 8 a.m. here on 1250 WHNZ. And as always, you can learn more about the show over at TampaBayRadio.com. Currently talk with Ben Weeder, founder of Level 6 Marketing, and you can learn more about him at the website level6marketing.com. So, Ben, let's talk about the importance of branding, one of the areas that you obviously cover in a marketing company. And we've seen some recent high-profile rebranding going on out there. So I want to get your input on that. You know, the recently Wendy's, they've brought out the new images and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about this and your input on this.
Well, I mean, Wendy's was definitely due for a change. I mean, they had stuck with that old logo since their inception, really, in Columbus, Ohio, which I...
yeah, and then the founder, too, there, he was running those commercials there for so long, too.
For many, many years until he passed, obviously. And I think that, you know, Wendy's looked at it. I mean, they had a font that was kind of that old-timey font, a serif-style font with big blocky letters, and they had an image of Wendy herself, who actually was Dave Thomas's daughter, by the way.
Yes.
Most people don't realize. And when they came out with that logo, you know, I was a fan immediately. I'll say that because primarily they really needed it. And sometimes you see a logo change for the sake of it, and we'll talk maybe about a few of those in a moment. But Wendy's was one that really, really needed it. They needed to update their restaurants. I don't know if you've been inside of a new Wendy's, one of the real, the ones where they've completely redone the restaurants. It's unbelievable what they look like with, you know, high-def LED screens, fireplaces, modern furniture. It's a real good look. And, you know, there's that when the logo came out, the new logo for Wendy's, there was that theory that there was a subliminal mom written in her neck. I don't know if you'd heard about that, but if you look closely at the neck on the Wendy's logo on her blouse, it actually does show the word mom in there. And the theory is that, you know, when you think of food, many people, you know, think of their mother's home cooking. And so that it wasn't by accident. Wendy's claims it was just by chance. But, you know, these logos take, especially at a corporation like that, I mean, they take many, many months and several $1,000s to produce and all sorts of teams of focus groups to get right.
Now, when a major company rebrands, does that necessarily signal any type of trouble, or is that just something companies need to do every so often?
I mean, you know, for one thing, design changes so quickly right now. That's one thing that we see. You know, if we redo a website for somebody right now, you know, we used to be able to guarantee that website would really look current for, you know, a good 5 years or so. We really can't say that anymore. We can guarantee that the website will be current as of today. But the fact of the matter is things are changing so quickly in the world of design from a brand standpoint that with luck we'll get you 5 years. But in reality, we're looking at websites getting redesigned every 2 to 3 years now.
So a rebranding strategy is something that an effective company needs to have in their business plan. Then,
yeah,
correct?
And I think exactly. I think a lot of the rebranding that you're seeing now really comes down to this sort of idea of making design flatter. One of the things you see with Google and with iOS is they've moved away from a lot of the gradients, a lot of the fake three-dimensional design, and really moved to more flat design. And so along with that, a lot of companies are also modifying their logos to be simpler, cleaner, and that goes along with, again, sort of the design trends that we're seeing. And they're largely driven by technology. Make no mistake, the Googles and the Apples of the world, they're the ones, and fonts are getting standardized. I mean, you look at it, the Helvetica font, there's a family there's several families of Helvetica fonts. Everyone's using the same font now. It's the originality is not there, but the idea is for clean, easy to understand, easy to recognize, and you're seeing a lot of companies rebrand because of those recent.
I think one of the ones
changes.
that kind of came out of nowhere is Google. They changed their logo there just kind of out of nowhere. I remember going to Google.com one morning, but hey, that looks different. What happened
And Google did learn from Yahoo, right? Yahoo a few years ago had a lot of fanfare about their new logo, and they made this big deal. Hey, we're going to have this new logo, and it was carefully crafted, and everyone saw it and thought, geez, what's the big deal? Because if you look at the new Yahoo logo, it's really not that exciting. Certainly.
No, it's not. But then again, the Google website was never exciting to begin with, a blank white page with a search box.
And I think so what they did was they said, we're just going to throw a new logo out there. And with Google, everything they have is electronic. So it's easy in a case like Google to do a rebranding. But, again, you see that they had a serif font. They've now gone to a sans serif font, which means it's a cleaner looking font. A lot of the personality, people say, are taken out of the new Google logo. But again, with repetition, and I think for many people out there listening, if you go to Google every day like I do, it doesn't even look new anymore. I'm used to it already, the new logo.
Another major company out there that's been rebranding over the last few years, Domino's, with the change from Domino's Pizza to Domino's, and also with the CEO of the company coming out a couple years ago and admitting our pizza's really not that good.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, well, why would you do this? But it's actually benefited the company.
It sure has. Yeah, that's one of the more brave initiatives that I've seen. But that kind of honesty is a lot of the times lacking. And I think when people see that authentic honesty coming from the top of a company like Domino's, it really resonates with potential customers.
Yeah, and also they're still making this change. I'm a little bit on the fence, though, because they changed their name to Domino's, but all these different facilities out there still say Domino's Pizzas. I don't know. They should have coordinated this a little bit better, don't you think?
And I think that's a perfect case. You look at Verizon, right? So that's another huge rebranding that's happening right now. They coincided with the beginning of football season because of all their endorsements there. And when I first saw the new Verizon logo, I was taken aback because it was really a revolutionary change. But again, when you have the hundreds of millions of dollars that Verizon does and can put their logo in front of you multiple times, and environments like NFL pregame and postgame shows, I'm already used to that new logo. On the other hand, most of the Verizon stores, in fact, I'm not sure I've even seen a Verizon store with an updated logo yet on their facade. So, you talk about coordination; it's hard to do. But you're absolutely right. A good, carefully crafted rebranding should happen relatively quick, and you would expect those signs to be switched out pretty promptly.
Yeah. So business owners that are out there, we got about a minute left here. Real quick, branding is a key component of growing a successful business. Something that I'm sure that I know that you help businesses with. But real quick, run through your services that you can help business owners out there with.
Well, sure. Branding is obviously where it comes from. We like to say that we're experts in brand performance. So we look at a business, and I'm kind of a disciple of Scott Bedbury, who's the guy who created Just Do It, and he's also the guy who created the Starbucks brand as we know it. And Scott Bedbury always says that you're not judged by what your business does best. You're ultimately judged by what it does worst. And so he says, look for the weaknesses. So that weakness could be a website. It could be search engine optimization. It could be a training program for your people. It could be consumer engagement programs or customer incentive programs. So we really like to come in and do a deep dive and understand, where are those weak spots and how can we help companies turn those weak spots into strong spots and really improve upon those.
Sounds like a plan. Ben, great discussion. Thanks very much for being in this early Monday morning.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jamie.
Absolutely. Again, that is Ben Weeder, founder of Level 6, and you can learn more about him at level6marketing.com. Well, it's back to work on this early Monday, so I hope everybody has a great week. And again, be sure to tune me in each weekday morning at 8 a.m. here on 1250 WHNZ and learn more about the show, TampaBayRadio.com. You've been listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.